The Skarn homeworld of Skull had once been a verdant paradise, teeming with life and thriving cities. But that was a distant memory now, lost to the ravages of war and the cold indifference of the galactic community. Zavik, a young Skarn scientist, gazed out the viewport of the cramped transport ship, watching as the last glimpse of Skull's shimmering blue oceans vanished into the blackness of space. A deep well of sorrow filled his chest, but he knew now was not the time for grief. Their people's very survival hung in the balance. Just a decade ago, the Skarn had been a peaceful, intellectually curious species, their diminutive stature belying an innate brilliance that had allowed them to advance rapidly in fields like quantum physics and bioengineering. They had eagerly reached out to the other alien civilizations, hoping to share knowledge and cultivate new partnerships. But those overtures had been met with derision and suspicion. The larger, more technologically advanced species viewed the Skarn as weak, insignificant, little more than curious oddities to be tolerated at best or exploited at worst. When war inevitably broke out, the Skarn found themselves woefully outmatched. Their fragile bodies offered little protection against the crushing might of the invading fleets, and their pacifist nature left them ill-equipped to respond in kind. Within months, Skal lay in ruins, its cities reduced to smoldering piles of rubble. Zavik remembered the agonizing pleas for aid that had gone unanswered, as the Skarn desperately reached out to their supposed allies in the galaxy. But the response was always the same: silence, or at best, a curt refusal. No one was willing to risk their own forces to defend the feeble Skarn. As the last pockets of Skarn resistance were crushed, a grim realization set in. They had been abandoned, cast aside like unwanted refuse. The galaxy had spoken, and its verdict was clear. The Skarn were deemed unworthy of survival. With no other choice, the battered remnants of the Skarn race fled their doomed homeworld, boarding hastily assembled transport ships in a desperate bid to outrun their pursuers. Zavik had been among the lucky ones, securing a spot on one of the overcrowded vessels before the final bombardment reduced Skull to lifeless gray rock. Now, as they drifted aimlessly through the void, Zavik could see the fear and uncertainty etched onto the faces of his fellow refugees. They were a people without a home, adrift in a galaxy that had rejected them. "Where will we go?" a young Skarn mother whispered, clutching her trembling offspring close. "Who will take us in?" Zavik shook his head solemnly. "I wish I knew," he replied, his voice tinged with a resigned sorrow. "But we cannot give up hope. There must be somewhere in this vast cosmos that will accept us." As the transport ship plunged deeper into the unknown, Zavik felt a growing sense of dread. The galaxy was a vast and unforgiving place, and the Skarn were little more than specks of dust, easily swept aside by the whims of the dominant species. How long could they possibly survive, with no allies and no sanctuary to call their own? The days blurred into weeks as the battered fleet of Skarn ships drifted aimlessly, their limited supplies dwindling with each passing hour. Tensions ran high, and Zavik could see the despair slowly taking hold of his people. Many had lost everything: their homes, their loved ones, their very way of life. The future seemed bleak, devoid of any glimmer of hope. Zavik spent countless hours poring over star charts, searching for any promising leads, but the galaxy appeared to offer nothing but indifference. They had been rejected at every turn, turned away by one alien civilization after another. It was as if the cosmos itself had conspired against the diminutive Skarn. "We cannot go on like this," Zavik said grimly during one of the daily council meetings, his words echoing the growing desperation in the room. "Our supplies are dwindling, and our people are losing hope. We need to find a safe haven, somewhere we can settle and rebuild. But where?" The other council members exchanged weary glances, their faces etched with the same sense of hopelessness. "We have reached out to every corner of the galaxy," one of the elders replied, his voice heavy with resignation. "But no one is willing to take us in. We are." He paused, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. We are alone. Gajevik felt his heart sink. He had known the truth of those words, but hearing them spoken aloud made the reality all the more crushing. The Skarn were truly adrift in a galaxy that had turned its back on them. As the council meeting drew to a close, Gajevik stepped out onto the cramped observation deck, gazing out at the endless field of stars. He had always found solace in the vastness of the cosmos, but now it only served to emphasize the Skarn's insignificance. They were but specks of life, lost in the unforgiving void. Gajevik clenched his fists, his mind racing. There had to be a solution, a way to ensure the survival of his people. They couldn't simply give up and accept their fate. But what options did they have left? It was then that he noticed a faint flicker of light in the distance, a signal that seemed to pulse with a strange, rhythmic cadence. Gajevik's eyes widened as he realized it was not a natural phenomenon, but rather an artificial transmission, a communication from another species. Without hesitation, Gajevik rushed back to the council chambers, his heart pounding with a renewed sense of hope. "I've detected a signal," he exclaimed, drawing the attention of the weary Skarn leaders. "It's not from any of the known civilizations in the galaxy. We must investigate, see if they might be willing to offer us sanctuary." The council members exchanged uncertain glances, the weight of their past rejections evident in their wary expressions. "And what if they too turn us away?" one of the elders asked, her voice tinged with resignation. "How much more disappointment can our people endure?" Gajevik understood their hesitation, but he refused to let it dampen his newfound optimism. "We have no other choice," he replied, his tone resolute. "If we stay on this course, we will surely perish. This is our last chance. We must take the risk." After a lengthy and heated debate, the council reluctantly agreed to alter their course, steering the battered Skarn fleet towards the source of the mysterious signal. As the ships hurtled through the void, Gajevik could feel the tension and anticipation building among his people. For the first time in weeks, there was a glimmer of hope, a chance, however slim, that they might find the sanctuary they so desperately sought. The journey seemed to stretch on for an eternity, the constant hum of the engines the only sound that broke the eerie silence. Gajevik spent the hours poring over the sensor data, analyzing every detail of the signal they were tracking. It was unlike anything he had encountered before, a curious blend of organic and technological elements that defied easy classification. Finally, after what felt like an endless trek through the void, the Skarn fleet emerged into a previously uncharted system, a solitary blue-green planet hanging in the distance. Gajevik's breath caught in his throat as he gazed upon the lush world, its surface covered in swirling clouds and vast expanses of liquid. "Is that?" one of the council members whispered, her voice tinged with awe. Gajevik nodded solemnly. "Yes, that is the source of the signal. A planet unknown to us, beyond the boundaries of the galactic community." He paused, letting the weight of their discovery sink in. "A world that may hold the key to our survival." As the Skarn ships approached the unfamiliar planet, Gajevik felt a mixture of hope and trepidation. They had been rejected time and time again, their pleas for aid falling on deaf ears. But this world, this unknown entity, represented a last glimmer of hope, a chance to start anew, to rebuild their shattered lives. "Prepare the landing parties," Gajevik commanded, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We must make contact with the inhabitants of this world and pray that they will grant us the sanctuary we so desperately seek." The Skarn refugees stirred with a renewed sense of purpose, their eyes reflecting a cautious optimism as they readied themselves for the momentous encounter. Gajevik could only hope that this world, this final refuge, would prove more welcoming than the cold, unforgiving galaxy they had left behind. The Skarn ships descended cautiously towards the unfamiliar blue-green planet, their sensors probing the world below in search of any signs of life or potential danger. Gajevik stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the view screen as the lush, swirling clouds parted to reveal sprawling landmasses and vast bodies of water. "Remarkable," The young scientist murmured, his mind racing with questions. This world is teeming with life, yet we've detected no signs of advanced technological development. No orbital stations, no cities, no signs of a spacefaring civilization. One of the bridge officers turned to Xavik, a hint of trepidation in her voice. Do you think the inhabitants will be receptive to our presence? After all, we've been rejected by every other species we've encountered. Xavik pondered the question for a moment, the weight of their people's desperate situation settling heavily on his shoulders. We have no choice but to try, he replied, his tone resolute. If we remain adrift in the void, our people will surely perish. This world represents our last chance at survival. The Skarn fleet carefully maneuvered into a stable orbit, the ship's sensors carefully scanning the planet below for any signs of sapient life. After several tense minutes, a series of faint but distinct energy signatures were detected, emanating from scattered settlements across the surface. There, Kavik exclaimed, pointing to the redouts. The inhabitants are present, though their technology appears to be relatively primitive compared to our own. He paused, his brow furrowing in contemplation. This may work to our advantage. Perhaps they will be more receptive to us if we approach them in a non-threatening manner. The Skarn Council convened hastily, debating the merits and risks of making first contact with the unknown civilization. Some argued for a cautious, diplomatic approach, while others urged a more aggressive stance, concerned that the inhabitants might view the Skarn as a threat. In the end, it was Kavik who swayed the council, his calm logic and unwavering determination winning over the more skeptical members. We cannot afford to let our past failures shape our future, he pleaded. These people may be our only hope. We must at least try to communicate with them, to seek their aid. With a reluctant nod, the council agreed, and Kavik set about assembling a small, unarmed landing party to make first contact. The Skarn scientist knew the risks were high, but the potential rewards were beyond measure. If these mysterious inhabitants were willing to offer them refuge, it could mean the difference between the survival or extinction of their entire species. As the landing craft descended through the wispy clouds, Kavik peered out the viewport, his eyes scanning the lush, unfamiliar landscape below. Vast expanses of green, punctuated by towering mountains and glistening bodies of water, stretched out as far as the eye could see. It was a world teeming with life, yet devoid of the grand cities and technological wonders that characterized the civilizations they had encountered in the wider galaxy. The landing site was carefully chosen, a vast, grassy clearing nestled between two towering ridges. As the craft touched down, Xavik and the other Skarn delegates emerged cautiously, their hands raised in a gesture of peace. For several long, tense moments, the clearing remained silent and still. Then, a rustling in the nearby trees caught their attention, and a group of curious faces peered out, their expressions a mixture of wonder and trepidation. Xavik stepped forward slowly, his voice calm and measured as he attempted to establish communication. "Greetings, inhabitants of this world," he said, his words translated by the craft's sophisticated language systems. "We come to you in peace, seeking sanctuary. Our people have been driven from our home, cast out by a cruel and unforgiving galaxy. Will you offer us refuge?" The response was not immediate, as the strange bipedal creatures studied the Skarn delegates with a mixture of fascination and uncertainty. Then, to Xavik's surprise, one of the figures stepped forward, raising a hand in a gesture of greeting. "Welcome, strangers," the creature replied, its voice soft and melodic. "I am Amara, and we are the humans of Earth. What brings you to our world?" Xavik felt a surge of hope at the creatures. No, the humans. Welcoming words. Perhaps, against all odds, they had found the sanctuary they so desperately sought. "Our story is a long and tragic one," Xavik replied, stepping forward to meet Amara. "We are the Skarn, a species that has been cast out and rejected by the galactic community. Our homeworld lies in ruins, and we have been adrift in the void. searching for a place to call home. Amara's brow furrowed with concern, her eyes filled with a compassion that Savik had not witnessed from any other species they had encountered. "You poor creatures," she murmured, her gaze sweeping over the Skarn delegates. "To be so cruelly cast aside by your own kind, it is a fate I cannot imagine." She turned to the other humans, her voice rising with a mixture of authority and compassion. "Bring them food and shelter. They are our guests, and we will offer them what aid we can." The humans sprang into action, their movements efficient and coordinated as they hurried to prepare living quarters and provisions for the Skarn refugees. Zavik watched in amazement, his mind racing to comprehend the warmth and kindness that these primitive humans were extending to his people. As the Skarn were ushered to their temporary lodgings, Zavik couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope stirring within him. Perhaps, against all odds, they had finally found the sanctuary they so desperately sought. In the days that followed, Zavik and the other Skarn delegates were given the opportunity to interact with the humans, to learn about their unique culture and way of life. To Zavik's astonishment, these bipedal creatures, with their fragile, unprotected bodies, displayed a level of ingenuity and resilience that defied the Skarn's preconceptions. The human cities, while modest and lacking the grand, towering structures of the galactic civilizations, were bustling hubs of activity, filled with an energy and vibrancy that the Skarn had never witnessed. Their technology, while primitive by the Skarn standards, was remarkably innovative, addressing the challenges of their world with a practical, hands-on approach. And the humans themselves. Zavik was captivated by their curious nature, their boundless creativity, and their deep capacity for empathy. They listened intently to the Skarn stories, their eyes widening with a mixture of horror and compassion as they learned of the tragedies that had befallen the diminutive species. "It is a remarkable thing that your people have endured such hardship," Amara said one day, as she and Zavik strolled through a lush, verdant garden. "The galaxy you describe sounds cold and unforgiving, yet you have found the strength to carry on. That is a testament to your resilience." Zavik nodded solemnly, his gaze sweeping over the vibrant flora that surrounded them. "We had no choice but to endure," he replied, his voice tinged with a hint of bitterness. "The galaxy turned its back on us, leaving us with nowhere to go. But here, on your world—" He paused, a glimmer of hope flickering in his eyes. "Here, we have found a chance to start anew." Amara reached out, placing a gentle hand on Zavik's shoulder. "Then you shall have it," she said, her voice firm yet compassionate. "The people of Earth will welcome you with open arms. You are not alone, not anymore." In that moment, Zavik felt a weight lift from his shoulders, a burden he had carried for so long. The Skarn were no longer cast adrift, rejected and abandoned by a cruel universe. They had found a refuge, a sanctuary where they could begin to rebuild their shattered lives. As the days turned into weeks, the Skarn quickly became integrated into the human communities, sharing their advanced knowledge and technologies in exchange for the warmth and acceptance they had been denied for so long. Zavik, in particular, found himself fascinated by the humans' ingenuity, their boundless curiosity, and their unwavering determination to overcome the challenges of their world. "Your people possess a remarkable resilience," he remarked to Amara one day, as they stood together overlooking a bustling human settlement. "Even with your limited resources and technological capabilities, you have managed to thrive and create a vibrant civilization." Amara smiled, her gaze sweeping over the scene before them. "We are a young species, Zavik, but we are also a tenacious one. We have faced our share of adversity, but we have always found a way to prevail. And now, with your people's knowledge and expertise, we believe we can accomplish even greater things." Zavik nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. "Then we shall be honored to share our knowledge and work alongside you," he declared, his voice filled with conviction. "The Skarn may have been rejected by the galaxy, but here, on this world, we have found a home, and we will do everything in our power to ensure its prosperity. As the Skarn and humans continued to forge a strong bond, news of their partnership began to spread throughout the galaxy. The other alien civilizations, once so quick to dismiss the diminutive Skarn, now watched with a mixture of fascination and trepidation, their own prejudices and biases challenged by the unexpected alliance. Zavik, for his part, felt a growing sense of pride and determination. The Skarn had been cast aside, their very existence threatened by the indifference of the galaxy. But here, on this remote world, they had found a new purpose, a chance to not only survive, but to thrive. And as he looked out over the bustling human settlements, Zavik knew that the Skarn's future was irrevocably tied to that of this remarkable species. Together, they would reshape the galaxy, proving that the feeble and the primitive could rise up and challenge the established order. It was a future filled with possibility, and Zavik couldn't wait to see what it held. In the months that followed, the integration of the Skarn refugees into human society progressed with remarkable speed and harmony. Zavik, along with the other Skarn delegates, worked tirelessly to share their knowledge and expertise, eager to contribute to the growth and prosperity of their newfound allies. The humans, for their part, welcomed the Skarn with open arms, their curiosity and wonder fueling a deep fascination with the diminutive alien species. Amara, the human woman who had first greeted the Skarn landing party, became a crucial liaison, facilitating the exchange of ideas and technologies between the two cultures. "Your people possess a remarkable intelligence," Amara remarked one day, as she and Zavik pored over a series of complex schematics. "In just a short time, you've managed to revolutionize our approach to fields like energy production and medical technology." Zavik nodded, a hint of pride in his voice. "The Skarn have always been a curious and intellectually driven species," he explained. "We have had to overcome many challenges in our history, and that has honed our problem-solving abilities. Now, with the resources and opportunities you have provided us, we are able to apply our knowledge in ways we never could have imagined." Amara smiled, her eyes alight with fascination. "It's truly remarkable. And to think, your people were so cruelly cast aside by the rest of the galaxy." She shook her head, her brow furrowing with a hint of sorrow. "I cannot fathom the level of prejudice and short-sightedness that would lead an advanced civilization to reject you so completely." Zavik's expression darkened, the painful memories of his people's exile surfacing once more. "The galaxy is a cold and unforgiving place, Amara," he replied, his voice tinged with bitterness. "Our diminutive stature and perceived weakness were seen as liabilities rather than the strengths they truly are. We were dismissed as insignificant, little more than curiosities to be tolerated." He paused, his gaze meeting Amara's with a newfound resolve. "But here, with you and your people, we have found a new purpose, a chance to prove our worth, and we will do everything in our power to ensure the prosperity and security of this world." Amara reached out, placing a gentle hand on Zavik's shoulder. "I have no doubt of that, my friend," she said, her voice filled with warmth and conviction. "The Skarn have already accomplished so much, and I believe your contributions will be pivotal in shaping the future of humanity." As the days turned into weeks, the Skarn's impact on human society began to resonate throughout the planet. Their advanced knowledge in fields like medicine, energy production, and materials science quickly revolutionized the way the humans approached the challenges of their world. Zavik, in particular, found himself at the forefront of these efforts, his brilliant mind and tireless dedication propelling him to the forefront of numerous collaborative projects. He worked tirelessly alongside human scientists and engineers, sharing his expertise and guiding them towards innovative solutions. One of the most significant breakthroughs came in the realm of renewable energy. The Skarn's mastery of quantum physics allowed them to develop highly efficient solar cells, capable of harnessing the sun's energy with unprecedented levels of efficiency. Within months, these new solar panels were being installed across human settlements, reducing the reliance on polluting fossil fuels and ushering in a new era of sustainable power. "This is truly remarkable," Amara marveled, as she stood beneath the towering solar array that now dominated the skyline of the largest human city. "Your people's knowledge has allowed us to take a giant leap forward in our efforts to protect the environment." David nodded, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. "It is but a taste of what the Skarn can contribute, Amara," he replied. "We have faced many challenges in our history and have learned to adapt and innovate in ways your people have yet to discover." As the Skarn's influence continued to grow, the humans eagerly embraced their new allies, integrating them into all aspects of their society. Skarn scientists and engineers worked alongside their human counterparts, sharing ideas and collaborating on groundbreaking projects. Skarn artisans and craftspeople found their creations in high demand, their unique designs and techniques captivating the human population. And perhaps most remarkably, the Skarn's profound intellectual abilities were combined with the humans' renowned creativity, giving rise to a wave of innovation that swept across the planet. New technologies, innovative solutions to long-standing problems, and bold visions for the future, all of it stemming from the fruitful partnership between the two species. Zavik marveled at the transformation, both in himself and in his people. Gone was the sense of hopelessness and despair that had once gripped them, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. The Skarn were no longer outcasts, cast aside by a cruel and unforgiving galaxy. They were valued allies, respected for their contributions and embraced by their human counterparts. "It is almost as if we have been reborn," Zavik confided to Amara one evening as they strolled through a lush, vibrant garden. "We have found a home here, a place where our skills and knowledge are not only appreciated, but celebrated." Amara nodded, her eyes shining with a mixture of pride and wonder. "And you have, in turn, enriched our world in ways we could never have imagined," she replied, her voice soft and sincere. "The Skarn have truly become an integral part of our society, and I cannot fathom a future without you standing by our side." Zavik felt a surge of emotion, his heart swelling with a sense of belonging and purpose that he had not experienced in decades. "Then we shall remain, Amara," he declared, his voice filled with conviction. "The Skarn have found their true home here, on this remarkable world, and we will do everything in our power to ensure its prosperity and security." As the weeks turned into months, the bond between the Skarn and the humans only grew stronger. Zavik and his fellow refugees immersed themselves fully in human culture, learning their language, their customs, and their ways of life. In turn, the humans embraced the Skarn, celebrating their unique perspectives and talents with a fervor that defied the cold dismissal they had faced in the wider galaxy. One of the most striking examples of this newfound harmony came in the realm of the arts. The Skarn's innate appreciation for beauty and symmetry found a perfect canvas in the human creative spirit, and soon, Skarn artists were collaborating with their human counterparts to produce works of breathtaking beauty and complexity. Zavik himself became deeply involved in this artistic renaissance, drawing inspiration from the vibrant colors and dynamic forms of human design. He worked tirelessly, crafting intricate sculptures that blended the elegant geometric lines of Skarn aesthetics with the organic, flowing shapes favored by the humans. "Your work is truly remarkable, Zavik," Amara marveled as she admired one of his latest creations, a towering obelisk that seemed to dance with light and shadow. "It is as if you have found a way to capture the very essence of our world and our people." Zavik beamed with pride, his eyes gleaming with a sense of accomplishment. "It is a collaboration, Amara," he replied, his voice filled with warmth. "The humans have opened my eyes to new ways of seeing and expressing the beauty that surrounds us. Together, we have created something truly extraordinary." As the Skarn's reputation as innovative thinkers and skilled artisans spread throughout the human settlements, the curiosity and fascination of the wider population only grew. Humans flocked to exhibitions and workshops, eager to learn from their alien counterparts and to witness the remarkable fusion of cultures. And with each new interaction, the divide between the Skarn and the humans continued to blur. They were no longer separate entities, but rather two halves of a whole, each complementing the other, their strengths and weaknesses balancing in perfect harmony. Zavik could scarcely believe the transformation that had taken place, both within himself and within his people. Where once they had been cast aside, rejected and forgotten, they now stood as respected, integral members of a thriving, vibrant society. The Skarn had found their true home, and they were determined to nurture and protect it with every fiber of their being. Yet even as the Skarn settled into their new lives, a nagging sense of unease began to take root in Xavik's mind. The galaxy that had so callously rejected them had not simply disappeared. It still loomed, a vast and unforgiving expanse that cast a long shadow over the Skarn's newfound sanctuary. What will the others think when they learn of our success here? Xavik confided to Amara one evening, as they stood together beneath the twinkling stars. Will they see us as a threat, or will they finally recognize the value we have to offer? Amara's brow furrowed with concern, her gaze distant and thoughtful. I cannot say for certain, she replied, her voice soft and measured. The galaxy has shown itself to be a cruel and unforgiving place, but perhaps with the strength of our alliance, we can change their perceptions, prove that the Skarn are not the feeble creatures they once dismissed. Zavik nodded, his resolve hardening. Then that is what we shall do, Amara, he declared, his voice filled with determination. The Skarn may have been rejected by the galaxy, but here, on this world, we have found a home, a future worth fighting for. And we will not allow anyone to take that away from us. As the two companions gazed out at the vast, starry expanse, Xavik felt a newfound sense of purpose and belonging. The Skarn had been cast out, their very existence threatened by the cold indifference of the galaxy. But here, on this remarkable world, they had found a sanctuary, a place where their skills and talents were not only appreciated, but celebrated. And with the unwavering support of their human allies, Xavik knew that the Skarn were poised to reshape the course of the galaxy, proving that the feeble and the primitive could rise up and challenge the established order. It was a future filled with possibility, and one that the Skarn were determined to embrace, no matter the cost. As the months turned into years, the bond between the Skarn and the humans only grew stronger, their partnership blossoming into a true alliance that would soon reverberate throughout the galaxy. The Skarn's contributions to human society had been nothing short of transformative. Their advanced knowledge in fields like energy production, medicine, and material science had revolutionized the way the humans approached the challenges of their world. Solar arrays and wind turbines now dotted the landscape, harnessing the power of nature with unprecedented efficiency. New breakthroughs in medical technology had eradicated long-standing diseases, while innovative construction materials had allowed for the creation of sprawling, sustainable cities. But the Skarn's impact went far beyond the practical applications of their knowledge. The diminutive aliens had also become deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of humanity, their unique perspectives and artistic talents enriching the human experience in profound ways. Skarn-designed sculptures and architectural marvels adorned the public spaces of human settlements, their elegant forms and intricate patterns captivating the eye and stirring the soul. Skarn musicians and performers had blended their hauntingly beautiful melodies with the dynamic rhythms of human music, giving rise to a new transcendent art form that captivated audiences worldwide. And perhaps most significantly, the Skarn's innate intellect and curiosity had sparked a renewed passion for learning and discovery among the humans. Skarn scientists and scholars worked alongside their human counterparts, pushing the boundaries of scientific understanding and opening up new frontiers of exploration. The Skarn have truly become an integral part of our society, Amara declared during a grand celebration honoring the partnership between the two species. Their knowledge, their creativity, their unwavering spirit, it has all served to elevate us, to propel us towards a future that is brighter and more prosperous than anything we could have imagined. The cheers that erupted from the gathered crowd were deafening, a testament to the deep respect and admiration that the humans now held for their alien allies. Zavik, standing beside Amara, felt a surge of pride and gratitude swell within him. The Skarn had found their true home, a place where they were valued and celebrated, rather than dismissed and rejected. But as the festivities drew to a close and the crowds dispersed, Zavik's thoughts turned once more to the vast, unforgiving galaxy that still loomed in the distance. The Skarn's success and integration had not gone unnoticed, and he knew that it was only a matter of time before the other alien civilizations sought to reestablish contact. What will they do when they learn of our alliance with the humans? Zavik confided to Amara one evening, as the two of them strolled through a lush, moonlit garden. The galaxy has shown itself to be a cruel and unforgiving place. Will they see us as a threat, or will they finally recognize the value we have to offer? Amara's brow furrowed with concern, her gaze fixed on the twinkling stars overhead. "I cannot say for certain," she replied, her voice tinged with a hint of trepidation. "The galaxy's response to your people's plight was one of indifference and prejudice. Now that you have found a new home and thrived, they may view you as a challenge to their established order." Zavik nodded grimly, his mind racing with the implications. "Then we must be prepared," he declared, his voice resolute. "The Skarn have found sanctuary here, on this world, but we cannot afford to let our guard down. The galaxy may yet seek to reclaim us, to subjugate us once more." Amara reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Zavik's shoulder. "Then we shall face them together, my friend," she said, her eyes filled with determination. "The humans have come to know and respect the Skarn, and we will not abandon you to the whims of the galaxy. Whatever comes, we will stand by your side." Zavik felt a surge of gratitude, his heart swelling with the knowledge that the humans were willing to stand alongside the Skarn, come what may. "Then we shall be ready," he replied, his voice firm and unwavering. "The Skarn may have been cast out by the galaxy, but here, on this world, we have found a home worth fighting for." As the weeks turned into months, the Skarn and the humans began to prepare for the inevitable confrontation with the wider galaxy. They fortified their defenses, developing new weapons and defensive technologies that blended the Skarn's advanced knowledge with the humans' ingenuity. At the same time, they worked tirelessly to expand their diplomatic reach, reaching out to other alien civilizations in an effort to foster understanding and cooperation. Zavik, along with a team of Skarn and human ambassadors, embarked on a series of carefully orchestrated missions, seeking to bridge the divide that had once separated the Skarn from the rest of the galaxy. The response, at first, was one of cautious curiosity. The other alien species, having long dismissed the Skarn as insignificant, were taken aback by the diminutive race's newfound strength and confidence. They watched with a mixture of fascination and trepidation as the Skarn-human alliance continued to grow, its influence radiating outwards like a shockwave through the cosmos. And then, slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. As the Skarn's technological and cultural contributions became more widely known, the other civilizations began to reconsider their preconceptions. They saw the Skarn not as weak and inferior, but as uniquely gifted and resilient, a species that had weathered the storm of rejection and emerged stronger for it. Diplomatic ties were gradually reestablished, and the once shunned Skarn found themselves welcomed back into the fold of the galactic community. Zavik and his fellow ambassadors seized upon this newfound openness, forging alliances and trade agreements that would benefit both the Skarn and their human allies. "It is truly remarkable to witness," Amara remarked one day as she and Zavik reviewed the latest reports from the diplomatic front. "The galaxy seems eager to make amends for its past transgressions, to embrace the Skarn as partners and equals." Zavik nodded, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. "We have proven our worth, Amara," he replied, his voice brimming with pride. "The galaxy once dismissed us as insignificant, but now They see the value we have to offer, the knowledge, the creativity, the resilience that has allowed us to thrive, even in the face of adversity. And they have you to thank for that, my friend," Amara said, reaching out to squeeze Kavak's hand. "Your unwavering determination, your belief in our partnership, it has been the driving force behind this remarkable transformation." Kavak felt a surge of emotion, his heart swelling with a sense of purpose and belonging that he had never before experienced. The Skarn had come so far, from the depths of despair and rejection to the heights of respect and admiration, and it was all thanks to the sanctuary they had found on this remarkable world, and the steadfast support of their human allies. As the diplomatic efforts continued to bear fruit, the Skarn's influence within the galactic community only grew. They were invited to join prestigious scientific and cultural exchanges, their expertise and insights eagerly sought out by the other civilizations. The once shunned race had become a respected, integral part of the interconnected web of alien societies, and with each new partnership forged, the Skarn's bond with the humans only deepened. Kavak and Amara worked tirelessly to coordinate the exchange of knowledge and resources, ensuring that the alliance remained strong and mutually beneficial. "The galaxy has finally recognized the value of the Skarn," Kavak declared during one particularly momentous gathering, his voice ringing with triumph. "But it is here, on this world, that we have found our true home, a place where we can thrive and contribute to the greater good of all." The thunderous applause that erupted from the assembled crowd was a testament to the deep respect and admiration that the humans now held for their alien allies. Kavak basked in the moment, his eyes shining with a profound sense of gratitude and purpose. Yet even as the Skarn star continued to rise within the galactic community, Kavak could not help but feel a twinge of unease. The wounds of their past rejection still lingered, a constant reminder of the fragility of their newfound acceptance. And he knew, deep down, that the galaxy's newfound interest in the Skarn-human alliance was not purely driven by a desire for partnership and cooperation. "They see us as a threat, don't they?" Kavak confided to Amara one evening, as the two of them gazed up at the stars. "The galaxy may have welcomed us back, but it is only because they fear the power we have amassed, the influence we have gained." Amara's expression darkened, her brow furrowed with concern. "I fear you may be right, my friend," she replied, her voice heavy with worry. "The galaxy has shown itself to be a ruthless and unforgiving place. Now that we have proven our worth, they may seek to reclaim us, to subjugate us once more." Kavak's grip tightened on the railing, his knuckles turning white. "Then we must be ready," he declared, his voice resolute. "The Skarn have found a home here, a sanctuary that we will defend with every fiber of our being. We will not allow the galaxy to take that away from us. Not again." Amara reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Kavak's shoulder. "And you will not be alone, my friend," she said, her eyes shining with determination. "The humans stand with you, and we will fight alongside the Skarn to protect our shared future." As the two companions gazed out at the vast, star-studded expanse, Kavak felt a renewed sense of purpose and resolve. The Skarn may have been cast out by the galaxy, but here, on this remarkable world, they had found a home worth fighting for, and with the unwavering support of their human allies, they were more than ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The tension in the air was palpable as the Skarn delegation, led by Kavak, stepped out onto the balcony of the grand, gleaming spaceport. Below, a vast crowd of humans and Skarn had gathered, their faces a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Kavak took a deep breath, his gaze sweeping across the gathered throng. It had been years since he and his people had fled their doomed homeworld, cast out by a galaxy that had deemed them unworthy of survival. Now, they stood on the cusp of a new chapter, one that would test the strength of their alliance with the humans and their ability to navigate the treacherous waters of the wider cosmos. "My fellow Skarn," Kavak began, his voice carrying clearly across the hush that had fallen over the crowd. "Today, we embark on a journey that will shape the future of our species and of our partnership with the humans. The galaxy has called, and we must answer. A murmur of unease rippled through the crowd, and Xavik raised a hand, silencing them. I know the fear and uncertainty you feel, he continued, his tone reassuring. The galaxy has not been kind to us in the past, but that will not deter us. We have found a home here on this remarkable world, and we will fight to defend it, no matter the cost. Beside him, Amara stepped forward, her expression resolute. The humans stand with you, Xavik, she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. We have seen the strength and resilience of the Skarn, and we will not abandon you to the whims of the galaxy. Together, we will forge a future that transcends the prejudices of the past. The crowd erupted in a deafening cheer, the air filled with a palpable sense of unity and determination. Xavik felt a surge of pride swell within him, his heart swelling with gratitude for the steadfast support of his human allies. As the delegation boarded the sleek, state-of-the-art spacecraft that would carry them to the heart of the galactic community, Xavik gazed out the viewport, his eyes fixed on the receding form of the vibrant, verdant world they were leaving behind. We will return, Amara, he murmured, his voice tinged with a mixture of resolve and trepidation. And when we do, the galaxy will know the true power of the Skarn-Human Alliance. The journey to the galactic capital was long and arduous, the tension within the spacecraft palpable as the Skarn delegates prepared themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. Xavik spent countless hours poring over diplomatic protocols and negotiation strategies, his mind racing with the countless possible scenarios that could unfold. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the spacecraft touched down on the gleaming spaceport of the galactic capital, and the Skarn delegation emerged, their faces set with a steely determination. As they made their way through the bustling corridors, Xavik could not help but feel a sense of unease wash over him. The other alien species they encountered eyed them with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, their gazes lingering a beat too long, as if sizing up a potential threat. They know, Xavik murmured to Amara, his voice barely above a whisper. They can sense the power we have amassed, the influence we have gained. Amara nodded, her own expression darkening. Then we must be vigilant, Xavik, she replied, her tone low and measured. The galaxy may have welcomed us back, but that does not mean they trust us. We must tread carefully, lest we provoke their ire. Xavik's jaw tightened, his resolve hardening. We have come too far to back down now, Amara, he declared, his voice firm. The Skarn have found a home, a sanctuary that we will defend at all costs. And if the galaxy seeks to take that from us, then they will face the full might of our alliance. As the delegation made its way to the grand audience hall, the tension in the air only grew thicker. Xavik could feel the weight of countless eyes upon them, scrutinizing their every move, their every word. When they were finally ushered into the vast, imposing chamber, Xavik took a moment to survey the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. They sat in stoic silence, their expressions unreadable, as the Skarn and human delegates took their place at the center of the room. Xavik stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the gathered alien leaders. Esteemed members of the galactic community, he began, his voice steady and measured. We, the Skarn, have come before you today to seek your recognition and acceptance, not as outcasts, but as equal partners in the great tapestry of the cosmos. A murmur of surprise rippled through the chamber, and Xavik could feel the weight of their scrutiny intensifying. For too long, our people have been dismissed and rejected, cast aside as weak and insignificant. But we have found a refuge, a sanctuary on the world of the humans, a species whose resilience and ingenuity have not only transformed our own lives, but have the power to reshape the very fabric of the galaxy. Xavik paused, his gaze hardening. And now we come before you, not as supplicants, but as equals, with knowledge, technology, and cultural contributions that can benefit us all, if you are willing to embrace them. The silence that followed was deafening, as the alien leaders exchanged pointed glances and hushed whispers. Zavik could feel the tension in the room, the unspoken fear and mistrust that hung in the air like a palpable force. Finally, a representative from one of the more dominant civilizations rose, his voice dripping with condescension. "The Skarn," he began, his eyes narrowing, "have indeed proven themselves to be more than the feeble creatures we once dismissed. But their newfound power, their alliance with the humans, it is a threat to the delicate balance of the galaxy. How can we be certain that you will not use this influence to undermine our established order?" Zavik felt his blood boil, but he forced himself to remain calm, his voice steady and unwavering. "The Skarn seek not to undermine your order, but to contribute to it," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "We have no desire for conquest or subjugation. All we ask is to be recognized as equal partners, to share in the prosperity and advancement of the galaxy as a whole." The alien representative scoffed, his lip curling in disdain. "Equal partners? The Skarn? Preposterous. You have been rejected by the galaxy once before, and we will not make the same mistake twice." Amara, who had been standing silently by Xavik's side, stepped forward, her eyes blazing with righteous fury. "Then you are the ones who are making a grave error," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "The Skarn have proven their worth, their resilience, their unwavering spirit, and they have done so with the full support of the human civilization, a species that will not stand idly by and watch you cast them aside once more." The chamber erupted in a chorus of heated protests and accusations, the alien leaders clearly unsettled by the boldness of the humans' words. Zavik could feel the tension reaching a fever pitch, and he knew that the moment of reckoning had arrived. "Enough," he shouted, his voice cutting through the din like a razor's edge. "We have come here seeking dialogue, seeking understanding. But if you are unwilling to grant us the recognition and respect we have rightfully earned, then we have no choice but to take matters into our own hands." Zavik turned to Amara, his gaze filled with a mixture of determination and trepidation. "The Skarn and the humans stand united, and we will not be cowed by the threats and prejudices of the galaxy. If you refuse to accept us as equals, then so be it. We will forge our own path, and we will do so with the full might of our alliance at our backs." The chamber descended into chaos, the alien leaders shouting and gesticulating wildly, their faces contorted with a mix of fear and outrage. Zavik and Amara stood firm, their expressions resolute, as they weathered the storm of accusations and demands. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Skarn and human delegates were ushered from the chamber, their backs straight, their heads held high. As they made their way back to the spaceport, Zavik could feel the weight of the decision they had just made settling heavily upon his shoulders. "We have crossed a line today, Amara," he murmured, his voice tinged with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. "The galaxy will not forget this, nor will it forgive us for our defiance." Amara nodded, her own expression grim. "Then so be it, Zavik," she replied, her voice resolute. "The Skarn have found a home, a sanctuary that we will defend with every fiber of our being. And if the galaxy seeks to take that from us, then they will face the full might of our alliance." As the spacecraft lifted off, Zavik gazed out the viewport, his eyes fixed on the distant, shimmering form of the human homeworld. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, that the galaxy would not simply accept the Skarn's newfound power and influence without a fight. But in that moment, Zavik felt a surge of resolve and determination coursing through his veins. The Skarn had been rejected, cast aside, and left to drift in the cold, unforgiving void of the cosmos. But here, on this remarkable world, they had found a home, a sanctuary that they would defend with every fiber of their being. And with the unwavering support of their human allies, Zavik knew that the Skarn were poised to reshape the very fabric of the galaxy, proving that the feeble and the primitive could rise up and challenge the established order. It was a future filled with uncertainty, but also with boundless possibility. And Xavik was more than ready to embrace it, come what may.